What's up everyone, James Baek here. Welcome back to another episode of VGC 17 Back-to-Back Battles. Now, you might notice there's no green screen, and that's because I'm recording early in the morning because I'm actually leaving for Queens to do some errands and get a haircut. So, it's really bright outside today, so it's like affecting my green screen because I hang it around a curtain hanger. So, like, there's the window and then the green screen, and yeah. That's why I like to record at night, usually evening, night. So, unable to get the green screen. Otherwise, I think it's better just to have this white wall behind me other than the green screen with like bright lights coming out, and it just looks terrible in my opinion. So we're going against Ryome with the Porygon 2, Porygon Z, Tapu Fini, Garchomp, Kartan, and Arcanine. Very standard team. It's interesting to see both Porygons here. Usually when you see both Porygons, it's could be Zimu Porygon Z, or it could be the Choice Guard variant. I don't like facing Porygon with my team. I think the best play is Drifblim. Tapu Fini is just very solid against my opponent's team. I don't know if my opponent really wants to set up Trick Room. And Metagross seems pretty solid because it helps against the Porygon 2. And I'll go Garchomp in the back. I could bring Arcanine because Arcanine with Wall Charge combined with the fact that close combat could knock out everything, but I don't like it against the intimidating Arcanine as well as the Garchomp, and Tapu Fini can live a +1 wall charge, I believe. So, ooh, we barely locked in. But yeah, had my warm-up battle today, and I got destroyed because yesterday, frames started dropping yesterday, so I was unable to upload the 2 battles I had. Well, I was able to upload the second battle because I stopped and reset my settings, but the first battle, the frames dropped terribly. So, did a warm-up battle, got destroyed by a Oranguru. I don't know why I always lose a warm-up battle. I guess it's because I'm more focused on the OBS settings than I am the actual battle. But let's go. We're going Porygon Z, Porygon 2. Very interesting. I don't know what my opponent really wants to do. I'm doubting the Trick Room is going to be set up here. Could be a Breakneck Blitz straight from the Porygon Z, but I'm fine sacking my Tapu Fini early in the game. So I think a Breakneck Blitz might come out from the Porygon Z. I'll just go for the Tailwind straight out because I really don't see him going for Trick Room. Do I want to go for a Tailwind? I don't need to go for Tailwind. I could just go for damage. I think I'll just Acrobatics the Porygon Z and get Muddy Waters off. These Pokemon can't really touch Drifblim unless it goes for like a Z conversion, then into a Thunderbolt. But with the Misty Seed up, we are going to take Ice Beams from the Porygons just fine. Yeah, this should be interesting. Oh man, my hair looks dead today. Oh man. I hate having lifeless hair. My hair is very important if you people don't know. I really try to pay attention to my hair. Some people might disagree, but I do. Okay, so I feel like we'll see the Breakneck Blitz from the Porygon Z. We could see a Hyper Beam or just a straight out Tri-Attack. We're going to just actually see the Ice Beam, which is okay by me. Going to do a lot of damage to Drifblim. Okay, but we are able to get Muddy Water off. Porygon 2 avoids the attack. Porygon Z, though, that kind of hurts. An Ice Beam is going to fire off into the Drifblim. Luckily, no freeze. Yeah, we could have just KO'd the Porygon Z with the Acrobatics, so that kind of sucks, but not the worst scenario here. I could Swagger my Tapu Fini and switch on to my Metagross. Metagross doesn't mind taking attacks from these Pokemon, resisting the Ice Beam. Thunderbolt won't do too much damage. But then again, it's Porygon 2 at +1. So Thunderbolt might hurt. It might do about 40%. But I don't think it's the worst case. I still don't know what item the Porygon Z is. It's going to withdraw, actually, and going out into Tapu Fini. So that's fine. I get to Swagger off onto my Metagross, and now I have a +2 Metagross. So this isn't a bad situation. I wonder if my opponent went for Trick Room this turn. But we'll see. Metagross is going to make the field. Swagger is going to come out and target down my Metagross. And now we have a +2 Metagross under the Misty terrain. So let's see what the Porygon 2 goes for. It's just going to fire off another Ice Beam and it will target down my Drifblim. And that is going to pick up a knockout. But Drifblim did what it needed to do. I got the Swagger off. I got chip damage onto Porygon Z. I can now go safely out into my Tapu Fini, I think, and start setting up my Calm Minds here and just Meteor Mash these Pokemon, to be honest, and get as much damage as I can as possible. So I think I'm just going to Calm Mind here, and I think Protect is a very safe play for me, because I get to scout what kind of Tapu Fini this is. I can also scout out for Protect, so I like to Calm Mind Protect. You really have to get rid of Metagross. You don't have a solid answer to it other than the Garchomp, which is why I'm going for Calm Mind, because a +1 Tapu Fini should be able to knock out the Garchomp. We're just going to see Protect from the Porygon 2. Not a move we commonly see, but it did get second place recently at the regional championship in, where was it? Anaheim, right. So Muddy Water is going to come out. Let's gauge the damage with our Tapu Fini. If this does a bit more than I expect, it's probably Choice Specs. That looks like, honestly, I can't tell. It might be Choice Specs though. I guess I have to gauge the damage with the Metagross, but luckily with Clear Body, Metagross cannot be affected by what's it called, accuracy drop, so that's nice. Gonna go for the Meteor Mash into the Tapu Fini. Actually, Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt. Zen Headbutt hits the Arcanine if it wants to switch in, so I'll go for the Zen Headbutt. I don't know what Porygon 2 can really do, but I'm just going to keep Sam Calm Minds because it's very safe. Allows me to handle the Porygon Z pretty fine. Another Calm Mind will allow me to knock it out with a Muddy Water, I think, if it doesn't carry bulk or it doesn't go for Z conversion here. So we're in a pretty good spot here, I think. We have the Calm Mind set up, and now we have +2s on the field. Porygon 2 going for a second Protect and fails. Very interesting move from my opponent, as I'm just going to Calm Mind up once again. Even Specs Muddy Water shouldn't do so much to Metagross that's unbearable for me. So it is going to be another Muddy Water. Actually, Metagross avoids attack, so I can't even scout out if it's Choice Specs Fini or not. The Muddy Water going to do a lot of damage, not really, onto my Tapu Fini. Doesn't get the accuracy drop, and we do connect to Zen Headbutt. That's very good. Yes, okay. That does put into Moonblast range. I didn't expect Zen Headbutt to knock out the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini does have a great base physical defense of base 115, and its special defense is base 130. So it's a very bulky Pokemon. I could go for the Muddy Water here. Don't want to risk it. Gonna go for the Moonblast, and I think I have a very free substitute since this Porygon 2 with Protect probably carries like Trick Room Recover as well. So I don't know why my opponent's just protecting Porygon 2. I mean, yes, Ice Beam's not going to do much. Trick Room isn't really good in this scenario, but Protect literally does nothing. Ice Beam at least gets chip damage, negates my recovery, or weakens the Metagross for like your Garchomp's Earthquake. But now we have a free sub and the Moonblast. I'm pretty sure even if it was Specs Muddy Water, we would have been able to get the sub up anyway, so I don't feel like that truly mattered. But, I don't know, it could be if, like, my opponent's last Pokemon's Kartana. Kartana is a very annoying Pokemon for this team to handle. So, we'll see what my opponent has in the back. Kartana is going to be my most dangerous Pokemon in the back, I feel like. It's going to be Arcanine, though, so I feel like Tapu Fini actually just wins the game. Unless it's Wild Charge, Arcanine, or Toxic on the Porygon 2. But, I can just fire off some Muddy Waters. We are at +2, and Zen Headbutt. Once we get to the Porygon Z, we should be good. So I'm just going to double up the Porygon Z. Arcanine might protect here, but we're going to see a Z move come out. It's going to be the Gigavolt Havoc Arcanine. I don't know if this is able to KO Tapu Fini, but it would be pretty bad if it does. So I was anticipating that option, but I still feel like this is the best play because I do have answers to the Arcanine in my Garchomp, and I don't expect Porygon Z to set up Trick Room here. So, Gigavolt Havoc, we are bold Tapu Fini, so maybe we could survive it. We are actually able to survive it pretty comfortably, actually. That was a lot less than I expected, but we are able to get the Muddy Water off. Bold Tapu Fini is love, man. For the Garchomp specifically. Muddy Water does a huge amount, knocks out the Arcanine that was most likely offensive with the Gigavolt Havoc, and Zen Headbutt will come out into Porygon 2. Should do about 50%. Yes, right around the money. And Discharge. So maybe that's why my opponent decided not to protect. I know, but it doesn't break my Metagross' sub, and I still don't think the Muddy Water miss mattered this way because I'm still behind the substitute, and Muddy Water would have definitely not put a Metagross in range out of substitute. So even if I was low health on Metagross, I still have the sub. Porygon Z is going to come out. I can just fire off attacks. Just go for the Muddy Water and the Moonblast, Meteor Mash and the Porygon Z, and then even if Porygon 2 recovers, I have Tectonic Rage on my Garchomp and can double it. So the match is going to be forfeited, and we will take the first game. Very nice. I feel like I played this team better when I'm playing it on camera. I don't know why. It definitely feels that way to me, but Ah, alright, so I don't know what item the Porygon Z is. I'm guessing it was Scarf because the fact I think my opponent just had a very free Z conversion turn 1, so I don't think my opponent actually had Z conversion, so I'm very sure. And we saw the Z move on Arcanine, so I am very confident that was Scarf on the Porygon Z. However, we were able to play around. Very fortunate. I mean, the Money Water Mist did not matter, as I said. We're going to find 1692 rated player from Japan as our second opponent. We're going to see the Arcanine, Tapu Fini, Garchomp, Porygon Z, Aerodactyl, and Gigalith. Oh, this is going to be a very interesting team to play against. So Metagross does fantastic in this matchup. However, my opponent is able to set up Tailwind of his own, which is pretty bad for me, to be honest. I want to go Drifblim, and I think I want to go Drifblim, Tapu Fini, Metagross, and Garchomp. These are usually the 4 Pokemon I like to bring in these matchups, and I feel like it's very solid. Tapu Fini to activate the Misty, Drifblim to get the Tailwind up. Muddy Water connects with Arcanine, the Aerodactyl, and the Gigalith, as well as Metagross and Garchomp are able to resist the rock type attacks and able to fire off some heavy damage, especially when +2. So things I have to worry about, what kind of Porygon Z that is, because it could be Choice Scarf, but the Garchomp could be also Choice Scarf because one, immunity to ground type attacks in the Aerodactyl can signify Choice Scarf in best of 1 battle spot. It is very common. So one of those is Choice Scarf. One of those are probably Z move as well, because Z conversion I could definitely see with Skydrop support, Aerodactyl, as well as Tectonic Rage on Garchomp, obviously. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game is going to be played out. I don't know what Pokemon my opponent would bring. I could definitely see Gigalith being brought here. Although I definitely do expect either Arcanine or Garchomp, or maybe both, just to handle the Metagross. My opponent doesn't exactly have the most solid answers to Metagross. I don't know. It's very hard for my opponent to make a move, but we'll see how it's decided. Drifblim, Tapu Fini will take the field, as my opponent is going to lead the Aerodactyl Porygon Z. So I can't tell if this is Z conversion or not, but if it's Z conversion, it's very bad for me. Straight out. Pressure's going to activate, so no Unnerve, which is interesting because it's a hidden ability now, and Unnerve is really good for those berries, so interesting to see Pressure. So I think Tailwind is very safe, but if this is Z conversion Porygon Z with the electric typing, I feel like I lose the game automatically because he gets a free Z conversion right here, and I can't do anything about it. And most of these Porygon Zs, if they're Z conversion, underspeed Aerodactyl, so you could Skydrop trap like Garchomp, hit it with the Ice Beam, Skydrop Fini. Oh man, I don't think we have a solid chance, but I'm gonna go for Muddy Water and the Tailwind, try to get maybe an accuracy drop on the Aerodactyl so I don't get Skydrop trap, but this is still looking pretty bad for us, as we're going to see the Taunt from Aerodactyl into Drifblim, so that makes a lot of sense. We're going to see the Z move from this Porygon Z, and it is going to be a Z conversion. I'm guessing it's the electric typing. I might have faced this opponent offline, so I might have known this off the bat. I don't remember if I won or lost though. A Z conversion is going to come out. It does look like the electric typing. I think pink does signify electric typing, yes. And we are going to hit it with the Muddy Water. That's great. We hit the Aerodactyl. That's the perfect target I needed, because now Garchomp, if I prevent Tailwind again, and we lower the Porygon Z's accuracy, that's fantastic. As now I can go for the Acrobatics into the Aerodactyl and Muddy Water. Tapu Fini will outspeed Aerodactyl, and if I get rid of his Aerodactyl, he doesn't have speed control. That's extremely good for me. So Acrobatics going to connect with the Aerodactyl. Almost pick up the knockout actually at that range is impressive. Muddy Water is going to connect with both my opponent's Pokemon. Going to get this powerful Muddy Water. We are probably going to exchange a Tapu Fini for Porygon Z here. I mean Aerodactyl here, but I can get my Garchomp out and I can start swaggering, so I don't feel like this is too bad. Thunderbolt going to go into Tapu Fini. Going to pick up the knockout. Oh right, I can't swagger because of the terrain, but that's not too bad either. I can go out into my Garchomp very safely. And unless he specs Tapu Fini, I don't think my opponent can actually knock me out. So let's see. Garchomp is going to come out. And my opponent actually reveals Garchomp. So Garchomp can't knock me out with any one hit. So I feel like just going for the Acrobatics and the Earthquake, because Earthquake will knock out Porygon Z, so I'm fine with this trade. Yeah. And Taunt should wear off either this turn or next turn. I'm pretty sure... this is second turn, I think. I think we have one more turn of Taunt, but that's fine. No Protects coming out from my opponent. Earthquake's going to do a lot to this Porygon Z, if not pick up the knockout, as well as chip this Garchomp. It is Adamant Chomp. So we're going to get the Earthquake off, as this is going to pick up the knockout on Porygon Z, I believe. Yes, it does, and that's fantastic, as well as the Garchomp being weakened. Oh, it's a crit on the Porygon Z. I don't think it matters. It stabbed Garchomp, even at +1 defense. I don't think it mattered. The Rock Slide is going to come out from my opponent, so I think this is Garchomp, which definitely makes sense since we saw the Z move on the Porygon Z. A critical hit on the Drifblim. That's a bit unfortunate, and yeah, unfortunately we don't have the ability to swagger ourselves now. Tapu Fini is going to come out. I guess I can gauge the damage right now. I'm just going to Acrobat... I do have one more turn to Taunt, right? Yes. So I'm going to Acrobatics the Garchomp and just go for the Earthquake. Because if it is Scarf, like I assume, we're going to pick up the knockout. Yeah, it is Scarf. I think you protect 100%. Acrobatics is actually just straight able to pick up the knockout on Garchomp. So maybe Tectonic Rage was the play. But I'll be able to gauge the damage of Tapu Fini. If it specs, it has to lock itself into Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam. I'm pretty sure you go for the Moonblast into Garchomp though. Earthquake does 40% to Tapu Fini, which is very nice. Muddy Water is going to come out. Let's see if it specs or not. If it specs, it probably does about over 50% to the Garchomp. As that doesn't look like specs, to be honest. As Drifblim is going to go down, it is going to be the leftovers on the Tapu Fini. Okay, this is still going to be an interesting game. I'm heading out into my Metagross right here. I don't know my opponent protects to scout for the Z move. I think the safe play is to go for sub and protect with Garchomp, because my opponent might just protect to scout for the Z move on Garchomp. So, and I get a free sub here because Muddy Water is not going to do too much to Metagross, and luckily no accuracy drop is possible. Moonblast right into the Garchomp, so that actually works out in my favor as we are able to get a free substitute with the Metagross. And as long as I hit some attacks with Metagross, I should be able to win the game just fine. Because I don't think Tectonic Rage might be able to knock out the Fini. Actually, it probably will. The Earthquake did 40%, and that's spread. So Tectonic Rage might just be able to knock out the Tapu Fini. Gonna go for double attacks in the Tapu Fini. Even if it protects, I did get chip damage onto Tapu Fini, probably around 20%. And then I could go for Rock Slides and Meteor Mash. My opponent's not going to protect at all. Maybe it's one of those heal pulsing Tapu Finis that we see commonly, which could make sense on this team with the Porygon Z. As we are going to go for the Tectonic Rage. It's probably going to pick up the knockout, I would assume, onto Tapu Fini. It doesn't look very physically defensive at all. So let's see how much damage this is going to do. It is going to pick up the knockout. And that's why we use Adamant Garchomp. Very strong attacks. And that is going to be a good game to my opponent. Nice. I really like this. I really like this. We were able to play that pretty well. Only luck that was really in the game was the Muddy Water accuracy drop, but it didn't affect the game at all because my opponent hit the move and then hit the move with Thunderbolt and then didn't do anything. I guess the taunt was a bit annoying, but I feel like if my opponent just had Tailwind, my opponent actually just won the game because Porygon Z would have outsped like my Tapu Fini, and even if I swaggered, the Porygon Z just got a free knockout on all of my Pokemon. So very interesting decisions. I don't know. But we're going to find one more. Wow, these games have been going by quick. Very quickly. We're what, 19, 18 minutes for 2 battles? That's insane. I'm going to do one more. I think I'm leaving in about an hour and a half, so I think that should just barely give me enough time to look over the video, the recording, see if it's done well, then edit it, and then process it, and then watch it again to make sure that everything went smoothly. So yeah, it takes a long time to honestly edit YouTube videos, to be honest. I always double check to make sure nothing goes wrong with the quality, and I will upload the best I can. So Ultramad from Italy with the 1613 rating will be our final opponent. And my voice is deep today. I'm just tired. I really am just tired. I woke up at 5 a.m., did my normal 2-hour walk, so that's what I've been doing. So we're going to see the... Oh, this is probably going to be the worst matchup for us. Garchomp, Porygon Z, the Arcanine, Tapu Lele, Kartana, and Snorlax. So we don't have a, well, we do have a fighting move actually. We have our Garchomp. This actually might not be the worst matchup. It's probably not Scarf Garchomp. I want to say it's not Scarf Garchomp. I mean, we're not facing Japanese player, and we don't see any ground type immunities, but this is Battle Spot. Anything's possible. So, could be not. How do I want to lead against this team? Garchomp can do really well, but Porygon 2 is just such an annoying Pokemon for this team. I could aim to win the game with my close combat Arcanine because it just does so much damage to my opponent's team. This is pretty hard picking Pokemon for this one. I think Tapu Koko, Arcanine, Metagross, and Arcanine are the best calls. I really want Garchomp in the matchup, but I feel like this is the best call. The reason is because I don't feel like if I Swagger, it's not going to do much, because then I'd probably be forced to lead Drifblim plus either Metagross or Tapu Fini to get a Swagger off successfully, and my opponent gets up Trick Room, and that kind of would screw me over, especially with the Snorlax. I couldn't kill the Snorlax because it could curse up, potentially. Arcanine with Life Orb, however, if I put these Pokemon into range, if I'm able to taunt a Porygon 2, I feel like I'd be able to be in a solid position. So we're going to see the Kartana and the Arcanine lead against my Tapu Fini and my Tapu Koko. So I'm just going to double protect first turn because I want to scout, to be honest, what my opponent wants to do. As Intimidate's going to activate, I really want to know what kind of Kartana this is. It could be either Sash or Assault Vest. And my opponent could also be Assault Vest Arcanine. So what a play that my opponent can make if it's Assault Vest Arcanine is protect Kartana and go for Bulldoze. So I just want to double protect Scout if it's like protecting Kartana. I want to Scout if it's like Bulldoze on Arcanine. So Kartana doesn't protect here. We do double protect. We'll Scout what this team wants to go for. Extreme Speed into Tapu Koko, as well as the Leaf Blade into that Tapu Koko. So that's fine. Yeah, that is going to do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, I can't tell if it's Scarf Kartana, which is definitely potential. So I kind of just want to switch out Tapu Koko here and go out to my Arcanine. It's very safe. I get the Intimidate off. I'm able to do a lot of damage, as well as get Muddy Water off and weaken this Arcanine. I still have no idea about items. Could be Scarf Kartana. That's going to be frustrating if it is, to be honest. I don't like facing Scarf Kartana at all. So, going to go on to Arcanine. We get the Intimidate off. Even if my opponent Leaf Blades to Tapu Fini, we're bold. Plus this Intimidate, we should only be taking about 60% max onto the Tapu Fini. Maybe 70, I guess. Arcanine's going to withdraw, which is fine. And it's going to go out into Tapu Lele. So, going to reset my terrain, but that is okay. So I'm guessing we're going to see a Leaf Blade into the Tapu Fini. Yes. Yes, okay. Correct play from my opponent. Yeah, doesn't do too much, thankfully. Muddy Water. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. I needed to scout what kind of Kartana that is. That's actually terrible. I'm going to double protect here because, again, I'm scouting for any moves that my opponent can make. So I'm just gonna double protect here. That's so bad. I could have calced what kind of Kartana that is, broken a potential Focus Sash if it's not Assault Vest, and yeah, that's so bad. Lele is in range of a Life or Flare Blitz, but I don't know what kind of Lele this is. I'm gonna scout if it's Scarf potentially if my opponent decides to stay in with Kartana. So he stays in with Kartana. We're gonna scout what kind of Tapu Lele this is. So it's going to be what? The Psychic, it is Scarf Lele, so it's not Scarf Kartana. That's something good to know. As the Sacred Sword into the Arcanine. So my opponent trying to pick up the knockout onto the Arcanine. Oh. So I feel like my opponent would just try to do the same plays again. I guess I could switch out my Arcanine and go onto my Metagross. And I need that sucks. Okay, Kartana's going to withdraw, which is fine. It's going to go out into the Garchomp, it looks like. That's pretty bad. because my answers to Garchomp have already been weakened in my Tapu Fini. But Muddy Water, if I get 2 Muddy Waters off, I could put in range of the Moonblast. A Psychic is going to target my Tapu Fini. Smart play from my opponent. Actually pick us to the knockout, which I was not anticipating. But then again, this is Lele and Psychic Terrain. It's freaking broken as hell. Gonna go on to my Tapu Koko here. Okay. My opponent can't Earthquake freely, so I feel like Tectonic Rage will be my opponent's choice of play. But I have to sack either Metagross. Okay, I feel like we lost. I'm going to protect Metagross. Dazzling Gleam here. Try to put this Garchomp. Maybe hope that Garchomp goes for Tectonic Rage and Lele switches out. Lele does switch out, so something beautiful is happening. The Arcanine's going to come in. No, that means you target down Koko. That 100% means you target down Koko. My opponent's just making beautiful defensive plays. Yeah. Okay, I feel like that is 100% GG. Yeah, I don't think I can win at all. Alright, Dazzling Gleam. Connects with the Arcanine. Yeah, I can't do anything. And it does look like a Assault Vest Arcanine, to be honest, because that Dazzling Gleam did absolutely nothing. So I think it is Assault Vest Arcanine. You most likely just Tectonic Rage and Flare Blitz. I can't do anything about it. Pray? I don't know. I can't do anything about it. I brought too many Pokemon that are weak to Garchomp, unfortunately. And losing Tapu Fini wasn't the smartest call. Well, I was expecting to live the Psychic, which is why I was why I was fine with this. Dazzling Gleam is gonna come out. 50% to the Garchomp, that's standard. Z-Move is gonna come out. I'm guessing it's gonna target down the Tapu Koko and then just a Flare Blitz. But now we're still in a tough spot because Garchomp just goes. I don't know what Garchomp goes for actually. Gonna be that Tectonic Rage. It will target down the Tapu Koko. Oh, targets the Arcanine slot actually. Huh. Was not expecting that. I hate my phone. I'm getting an unlisted number when I live alone. Let me see if I can stop that. Alright, Flare Blitz actually does a lot less than I thought to the Tapu Koko. Metagross is going to come out. I still think I lose because you just sack Garchomp and you go for Flare Blitz, I think. Or you could just protect Garchomp and Flare Blitz to Tapu Koko. Either way, I think I'm screwed. I'm going to go for Zen Headbutt into the Arcanine and protect the Tapu Koko. I feel like no matter what, I still lose, especially if you just switch out Garchomp, which I think is the safest play. Or you could just sack it safely. Or you could just sack Kartana, because I think Kartana does nothing in this matchup. Garchomp is going to switch out. Tapu Lele is going to come in. Okay, that makes sense, because Thunderbolt, even if I crit the Thunderbolt into the Arcanine, I wouldn't pick up the knockout. I'm pretty sure you just target the Metagross then. Oh, wow, my opponent just going for protects. That's also a very safe play because now you outspeed the Koko with the Scarf Lele, get the Psychic, and you can Flare Blitz, and that's going to be game. So, yeah, nothing I could really do. I did correctly predict this sets. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to tell what kind of Kartana it was because what kind of Kartana would allow me to predict if it could protect, if it had to be forced to switch out because of the Arcanine, because it. Let's say I hit the Muddy Water and it does a good amount. It's probably Focus Sash, and the Kartana is most likely just going to protect or switch out. If it's Assault Vest, you're most likely forced to switch out to Kartana unless you want to lose it. So, was unfortunately unable to get that, and then my opponent just made beautiful defensive switch-ins with the Lele, the Garchomp, Arcanine. He would never lose a Pokemon and always tried to get the momentum while I couldn't do anything. So that was a good game to my opponent. Don't think this team was very solid without the Drifblim mode. Like, this team was literally built just for Drifblim. It was legit just try to set up a Drifblim and win. Yeah. Because that's how I like to play the game. So maybe I should have brought the Drifblim mode. It might have actually been more solid because against the Pokemon my opponent brought, because did my opponent have a Trick Room user? I feel like my opponent had. My opponent did. Yeah, my opponent had a Porygon 2, right? So my opponent actually didn't bring Porygon 2. So the correct play would have been to bring Drifblim. So not the best calls for me because I don't know, because Porygon 2 is just a very solid Pokemon against my team. So the reason why I brought Tapu Koko, being able to taunt, weaken the Porygon 2 and put in the range of the Life for close combat was my play. But maybe I should have focused more of trying to set up my Garchomp or my Arcanine or my Metagross with the Swagger from Drifblim and be able to knock out all my opponent's Pokemon. So that might have been the smarter call. Definitely learned a lot in this battle. My opponent, again, played beautifully. But otherwise, I think that's it for today's episode. Sorry about no green screen once again, but I think it's better than like having so much glare in the video. But otherwise, I will see you around in another episode of VGC 17 Backbook Battles. If you want to try out the team, in the description down below, you can also check out the pay spin, as well as the QR code, as well as my social medias, and any previous episode of VGC Backbook Battles if you haven't missed it. Otherwise, I will see you around in another video.